Welcome to the Urban Cowgirl Show. And over there's a pile of sifted soil. And here's the pile of sand that we get from our nearest garden supply. It's fill sand, not real expensive, but finer than most soil. Okay, so we're gonna have to mix it all. In this next session, we add the sand and filtered soil, set up the drip hoses, and get ready to seed.
Well, here's what we did. We did our finishing touch by approximate of the measuring out of where the seeds go, which is 1 inch apart rows in a 6-inch 1x6 is where you plant the seeds. And so we did it in rows of the 1 inch apart, 6-inch apart rows. And then we put some sifted soil into those holes and on top of the seeds, and then on top of that we put a little bit of a ground cover to keep it moist, because it could get all dried up, and that really holds the moisture when you put a ground cover on top. And then the last thing, we've got our border with the copper tape on it to keep the slugs and snails from enjoying the garden. It's very uncomfortable for them to go over that copper tape. And then the final touch was we have the soaker hoses, and there's a 7 p.m. and we've got one going for the morning too. I can look at the timer on that one. I think we've got a 7 a.m. or something like that as well. And so those will go on automatic timers, and I concentrate on the center because that's a hard packed center, and then it goes to a soft edge, and it's a bit of a slant, so we're going to get a lot of the soaking going out into the areas instead of wasted into the lawn. And then I use the last of it and do an exterior. It should soak into the areas that have been tilled.
Okay, and we're going to save some of the filtered earth and this fill sand, which we have more of, and as a second plot beyond this plot in a few weeks.
Yeah, that way we have a rotation of a few carrots, some a little earlier, and then they'll have some a little later.
Okay, so that's the plan. Our carrot plot part 2 progress is on its way, as we had planned to do it. Well, here is our soil and our pasture where we're going to sprinkle some red fescue seed very soon, because this is an oak tree. We don't want to remove any part of it. We just want to coexist with it. And red fescue does well in shade. So Alan is here. He's going to explain how we're going to do an experiment here on this plot by putting some of our compost, which we're very proud to have, we keep it in good condition, in a plot, and then not in other areas, and see if the red fescue does better, because everything else would be constant. So Alan, can you show us?
Yeah, the fescue is a very shade tolerant grass. So a lot of times people grow grass in an area where they have a lot of shade, and the grass never really takes in that really extra shady spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to take an area here, just a strip that goes from the sun into the shade, and put some organic compost on that area, and not in the other area over here, which also has the sun and the shade, to see if it makes a huge difference on that fescue. If it does, then we'll continue doing the organic mulch or the organic compost in that area.
Okay, and you see we have volunteer grass here because this area is sunny much of the day, even though it's between clumps of eucalyptus tree and this giant oak. And over here, years ago, we did bring our compost over here. It's not quite as shady as over here, but we planted irrigated pasture seed here, and it's doing very well. It's a place that my miniature zebus come to graze. I don't bring my horses into that area because we put too much compost and the weight of their hooves sinks in. Here we're going to be careful to put maybe just a couple inches couple inches. We have our Kubota. We'll be coming down the east corridor. We can open up some panels to do that, and then we're going to plant and make sure it gets irrigated and get ready for the harvest and watch it grow in the meantime. This is Sonia Sokolow, the urban cowgirl. As we were walking away, we saw this gopher snake. He's very active right now. We'll make sure that he's not here when we bring our compost and our tires and our big tractors. I sure hope in the future I'll be able to use my Morgan horses and my mini cows to help me do this ground preparation. But right now we're still relying on our small garden tractors and our big Kubota with the bucket. Well, progress in our carrot plots. We noticed that our soaker hoses weren't producing enough water. We had them set on a timer for about a half hour in the morning, half hour in the evening, but they just remained too dry. So we're leaving them on now until we're sure that we have carrot greens showing, and then maybe we'll reduce the amount of time. And on this far end, it's the east end, we are making some progress on having a second little plot. Here we're using chicken wire on the edges because we ran out of the aluminum screening, but we're using the same good soil, sifted soil. We're going to add sand. As you can see, there's already just a couple shovelfuls. We have prepared already a long 20-foot piece of PVC with the copper piping tape, the copper tape, so that we hope we can keep the snails and slugs out. Now, we are concerned that little bunnies will come here and eat our carrot greens when they start showing, but we'll deal with that one small step at a time. This is Sonia Sokolow, the urban cowgirl and the urban farmer. Whoops, a postscript. We have a split in our soaker hose and the water is coming out too much. So we're going to have to go and see if there's a way we can put a patch in the hose or cover the hole. So that's what it takes to be an urban farmer. One small step and one small problem at a time. We are trying to continue to plant red fescue in this pretty much barren corral. It is under an oak tree. Red fescue is designed to thrive in shade. We have to constantly fight debris. We can't expect the red fescue seed to germinate if we've got a bunch of leaves. And over here, my cameraman will pan it. We've got a creek bank full of eucalyptus. And eucalyptus is very, very bad for trying to plant. But lo and behold, about 2 years ago, look at what we did here. I'm pointing to it. It is about 4 inches of compost. We planted, I think, red fescue and irrigated pasture seed. It is thriving well now because we have irrigation to it, and we try to keep the storm debris, especially the eucalyptus leaves and branches, off of it. And my cows use it to graze on. We made a very deep compost bed because we were trying to help the seeds germinate. Well, indeed, 2 years later, we still have the problem that the compost has not gotten solid, so we can't let the horses in here. They're too heavy. Their hooves are too big. They make hoof impressions everywhere. So this is dedicated to my little mini zebus. This, however, we're going to very carefully try to get it to germinate with red fescue seed. And we're going to do an experiment. We're going to keep one row here. Let me show you. One row of compost over the soil. We're going to keep that as soil covered by compost. We're going to seed it as we seed the rest of this corral. And we're going to do one more thing today. We're going to rototill again. It is still a little bit too rocky, a little bit too uneven. Let me show you what I mean. yeah, we can't get rid of all the rocks. This is actually a clump of soil, but maybe we can break it up a little more so it's a little flatter. And then just before we seed, we're gonna get my soil probe, which I forgot to bring out, but I've shown it in the past. We're gonna take samples, probe the samples here on this side of that compost column and on the other side. And in the compost column, we'll keep them in separate bags. And if one area germinates better, harvests better than the other, well, then we'll have the soil and we can get it analyzed, which is expensive. I do it in Watsonville, and then half the time I don't really understand all of the results I get from the analysis. But if I consult the proper experts, I might be able to figure out why one side did better than the other. Because pretty much the shade is everywhere. So if one side does better than the other, or the compost makes a big difference, one way or another, we'll have a plan for continuing to farm this corral, which we call HVC2 East. We're keeping the horses off of it until we have some answers to all those questions, until we get a pasture in here that we feel the horses can eat while not destroying it with their weight and their hoof prints. Go ahead, Shalea. This is our Boland's, which is actually an antique. It's prior 1950, and we haven't made it real pretty like some antique tractor people do, but we have kept it operational and it has this rototiller. So Shalea's gonna start rototilling, and you're gonna rototill down the compost, but try not to push the compost one way or the other. We're just gonna rototill it. We are going to feather the compost so it's not quite as steep at the edges. And Scott's gonna do that with a rake and a shovel and a pitchfork. We're going to try to make distinct areas here. We're going to seed as soon as we can. We're going to make sure that the irrigation hits everywhere where we've thrown seed. And we're going to use a very light layer of compost, dry air compost, to cover the seeds so that the birds don't eat the seeds before they have a chance to germinate. Well, this is farming at Shadrack Farms, an urban rural setting. I know quite a bit because I watch RFD TV all the time, both the horse, the cow, and the farm shows. And I'm learning as I go, and whenever we have a chance to be farmers here, we do it. But we try to study what we do so we can figure out what works and doesn't work. Now, as soon as Shalea starts to rototill, we'll turn off the camera. I'll go upload this on YouTube and on my Blip platform, and we'll go from there. Keep watching the show to see our progress. Let's go. Go ahead. It's noisy. Uh-oh. Choke? Is it choke? Yeah. It's my hope to use my horses and cows in the future. And the horses and cows, you have to teach them, but they don't run out of gas. I said to Shalea when she brought the Boland's out here, I said, let me know when it's out here and ready to go. And she had to start it to get it here. There we go. Was it choke?
Yeah, it was a combination of choke and throttle.
Combination of choke and throttle. Go ahead and move the shovel. We've got a shovel in the way. We're just trying to get this leveled, trying to get the big clods smaller. Oh, the shovel is where a drain cap is. We're trying to avoid ruining anything that's close to the top of the ground. And there we go. There's our little rototiller on our antique Boland's 1250, which predates approximately the 1950s. That's all for today. We'll keep you posted on our progress. Sonia Soklo, the urban cowgirl and the urban farmer. Our next session at the red fescue site, we are going to soil probe today. We're going to get 6 samples. Scott is standing in one of the positions here that's south of the compost. Then he's going to take a sample from the compost, and then he's going to take a sample from north of the compost. We're going to label the bags. We're going to do the same thing on the other side of that trunk, tree trunk. And we're going to label them all and hold on to them in case we want to analyze the soil, which means I have to send it into Watsonville Soil Analysis Lab, get a pretty complicated soil analysis report, and probably try to get some help from somebody who can tell me how the soils are different. If one area germinates faster or better than the other, because we're getting close to actually planting the red fescue seed, but you see we've had a couple windstorms since we prepared this ground, and there's some more leaf debris and branch debris, so we got to pick that up. This is April 25th, 2013. I expect within the next 3 to 4 weeks the winds will stop, we'll say we're getting into summer, and we'll have more consistent weather for this kind of farming. But one thing that Scott is going to have to do, and he's going to do it with the Kubota into one of my larger wheelbarrows, he's going to bring some of my organic compost, the driest one, like from the middle bin, and Shalea, when she actually plants the red fescue, is then going to do a light layer of compost. Reason being, as much as I love, let's see if I can show it to you. Yeah, there's one there. It's in the, yeah, there it is. As much as I love these birds, I don't want them to eat my seed. I want to give it a chance to germinate so that this becomes a nice red fescue horse pasture. Okay, Scott, see what happens when you try to probe. Every one of these tools has its own problems, so is he getting enough of a sample from that place? Look how compact it is, huh? Yeah. I'm wondering if we should, maybe that's a message to us to maybe rototill a little deeper here if we can.
Yeah, I'd say deeper.
Okay, Scott's saying, yeah, rototill deeper, because this has been trampled by horses for years and it's pretty compact under the top rototilled soil. I would like to see, if you lift that probe, yeah, I would like to see about 4 times as much soil sample. So here comes Shalea, and we're going to tell her, okay, we're not ready to plant. It is much too compact. Show her, Scott. And here's Shalea. She knows how to run the rototiller. Okay, on my antique Boland's tractor. Go ahead. Okay, now he's going to do it in the composted area and see how far he can get down. I want maybe 8 inches down from what I've learned on RFD TV. That's a little easier. He's getting down there. Let's see how much you got. Let me zoom in on that. You know, boy, I would say that's about 4 inches, huh? Yeah. I don't know if we want to go 8 inches or not. 4 inches might be enough for planting and getting root with our red fescue, but I'm going to have to investigate that. I'll have to do a little Google searching. But over there, Shalea, watch him. Go ahead and try it there, Scott. Where we don't have the compost on top, he can only go down a couple inches, which I think is not going to be good for those roots of the red fescue. And then the tool itself gets kind of plugged up if it's too compact. So we use a screwdriver to clear it out. We're doing all of that. We're showing you all of that. We're showing you the problems. Okay, now watch, Leah, because I'm going to be asking you to do this after you've rototilled some more. Can you make the rototiller go deeper?
No, not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Okay, well, I'm going to have to figure out what I'm going to do about that problem. Look how hard he's pushing, and how much did you get?
Less than that side.
Even less than on this side. Well, we are not ready to plant here. Now, will our box grader help at all? I don't think so. Boy, this is a lot of handwork to get it to be less compact. I'm not sure what to do about that, or do we want to just bring some more compost here and just compost the whole area? That's a lot of labor too.
That's what we did over there, though.
Yeah, that's what Scott pointed out, that's what we did over here. And look how nice, about 2 or 3 years later, it looks.
I'd even say Kyle and I did that last summer, so I'd even say less than a year.
Okay, he thinks it was less than a year, but I think that that Aaron and I did it the prior year, so I'm not sure. It's hard to keep track of these things. It's getting so that I want a farming app on my smartphone to keep track of these things. But okay, we are not ready to plant, but fortunately it's only the end of April, so we hope maybe by the end of May we'll be ready to plant. And we have the red fescue seed ready to go. Let's see if he can get down. You know what if we soak it? That may be a way to get it softer. Not with a soaker hose, but a more frequent irrigation timer. We have valves, and here's a typical irrigation riser. If we can get it to, this is line 1, or actually this may be line 4. I'm not sure. We'll consult Everett, my handyman, tomorrow. I have a feeling, because we have locked the horses out of this corral, I have a feeling that if we irrigate for longer periods of time more often and then try it, that we're going to be able to loosen this soil, at least for the soil probe. And then I'm pretty sure we don't have to go down more than 8 inches for the seeds to take root, or good root. So, well, we show you what works and doesn't work. And today we came to the realization that we've got some problems that need solutions. And we are urban farmers. We will learn, we will do, and we will monitor by video in case you're an urban farmer and want to do it too. This is Shadrack Farms. This is our farming effort this year in 2013. And just one other thing. In our existing pastures, which you can see beyond that white fence, here it is the end of April. We're having some weeds come up that have come up in the past, like buttercup, very quickly. And I just watched a long program on RFD TV 2 days ago of hundreds of acres of horse pasture in Texas, where the farmer was saying, and the rancher, he was saying, you got to timely get rid of those weeds, otherwise they will rob the soil of the water and of the nutrients that your pasture grass needs, and your pasture grass will suffer. So we are putting in some extra hours in the next few weeks with our weed eater to remove all those weeds, to seed the bare spots, to cover them with light compost, my organic compost, and to keep the birds from eating the seed. And we're hoping, because this has happened in the past, we're hoping that if we keep the pasture healthy, that the pasture grasses will choke out the very, very persistent weeds. We not only have buttercup, we have another weed that almost looks like a grass, but I can tell it's not because the horses aren't eating it. So for the next 3 to 4 weeks, that's our effort here at Shadrack Farms. We have prepared this red fescue plot, but it turns out that having been trampled by horses for years, we can't even get a soil sample. It's too hard. So I set up some automatic sprinklers for an hour a night, every night, until we can get that soil probe down into the soil at least 4 to 6 inches. Now, I get kind of paranoid about having automatic whatevers on all night long, even though it's well water. and not city water. But I say, well, I want to watch it. And I have IP cameras out here, handheld cameras that allow me to watch my property and watch my livestock. There's one right up there. I don't know if Sarah can zoom in on it. I bought indoor cameras because they're cheaper, and then I covered them with some fish bowls that I got from PetSmart. Well, unfortunately, out at night, when the LED light flashes, it bounces off this glass, and I can't see anything at night unless we somehow protect the cameras some other way. So for the next week or two, whatever, however long it takes, we are going to put a piece of plastic up there. It's just a tray for paper. We're going to protect it. There's no rain or wind in sight, but you never know. In Santa Cruz, if you don't like the weather, wait a minute. So I don't want to ruin my IP cameras, but I do want to be able to turn on my IP camera in the house, see it on the computer image, and make sure that these automatic sprinklers go off and don't go on all night without coming out here. So we will continue to show you our progress in urban farming. I think there are a lot of people who live in the cities or in small properties who may want to do this kind of thing, so we're showing you every step of the way. And that's all for today. Sonia Sokolow, the Urban Cowgirl. Soil probe try. This is 3 days after we set up those crate sprinklers on a timer to go on every night for an hour, with the hope that if we soak this area, we'll be able to probe down more than an inch or two. Yeah, turn it. Oh, you got it. Yes. Wonderful. That's enough there. Can you empty that out and try it where I just tried it? I'm just a weenie arm. Let's see if you can push down. Because that sprinkler there to Scott's right spreads its water every night now all the way over to here. It should be pretty wet over there. It's just that I felt like I couldn't push much harder. Let's see if Scott can. And we'll continue doing it after we get our soil samples collected. We'll continue to plant our red fescue. And oh yes, it is working. Yes, just a little power is what we needed. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to go back now and collect 6 soil samples at various places in this red fescue corral, I call it. And then we've got the risers here to sprinkle the red fescue seed after it has been spread and covered by a light layer of compost so that the birds don't get it. And I'm really not worried about losing this tree. You don't want to soak the trunk of an oak tree, but my farmer consultant said don't worry about it. It's no more than letting it rain for a few months. That's all for today. Sonia Sokolow, the Urban Cowgirl and the Urban Farmer. See more at www.urbancowgirlchannel.com.